Today we will develop together critical thinking about the new Hourglass palettes for Holidays 2025. I saw the leaks and the previews. I was hooked. I want them all. There will be 4 palettes for these holidays. I will refer to images from 2 Instagram accounts, Hamid Beauty Talk and Glam Junkies.com. I will leave in the description box the links to these 2 Instagram pages. So Glam Junkies.com has the previews and Hamid Beauty Talk has also pictures, real life pictures of the new palettes. I wanted them all, but considering what I have already, I need to think critically, and I would like to share with you my considerations so that both of us can arrive to that point when all of these palettes will be available for purchase with all our thoughts clear, so we can avoid over purchasing and only buy what is the best choice considering our existing collection, or maybe skipping the release. So I think all of you know what's going on, what's gonna happen for the holidays. There will be 4 palettes released this year: the deer one, the horse, the fox, and the swan. The lightest, I would say, are the deer and the horse, and fox is more for deeper skin tones, and the swan is a mixture, I would say medium deep as well. Packaging, I think the packaging, I think decorations are better compared to last year. I have this palette from last year, but I would like to share with you some considerations. Maybe some of you have purchased recently the quads by Hourglass. And it was the first time that Hourglass opened to customization, and for US customers was possible to customize your perfect palette. In that case, you may want to skip the holiday release because you may have already the perfect shades for you already. You may have seen the video related to this trio that is actually my last purchase from Hourglass, and this is the Sublime edit. I think that I like this trio more than the 6-pan palettes, especially when it comes to the usual palettes that have a combination of colors like this one, for example. This is an original palette that I did not rearrange. And as you can see, the trio has a bigger pans, and it was convenient. I liked a good arranged trio where all of the powders were for me. While when it comes to the 6-pan, the holiday releases, it's usually a compromise. Sometimes you have the duplicates, things that on paper they're different but practically are the same, like was the case for these 2 blushes for this palette specifically, or sometimes things are too warm. It's rare to find all the 6 pans that are suitable for one single person. That is, I think, the disadvantage of these 6-pan palettes. The other disadvantage is that, in my opinion, the pans are quite small. I prefer these bigger pans of the trios. What I did in the past, and you can find a video about it, I edited my perfect palette by depotting and rearranging the shades. And when you do something like this, you don't have to care anymore about the size of the pans because you can mix and match the powders. This is my custom palette of all ambient lighting powders. You know already that this is my holy grail. It's customized for me, and I did manually, so I depotted myself because I don't live in US. But if I was in US, I would have purchased one of the customizable quads and I would have made it like this. But yeah, I like the pretty packaging that you get for the holiday releases. Okay, so the pros and cons. The pros to me is the formula. I don't care for the other powders from Hourglass. I don't care for their eyeshadows. I've seen the first reviews of their new eyeshadow quads. I don't care for them. I think the formula is lovely but quite standard. While I still think that this baked formula is something special, is my favorite from the brand, and to the point that I wouldn't mind to have even unusual colors to be used as eyeshadows. I've used already these two shades also on my eyes, and I like how light and smooth is the result, like airbrush. To me, these ones used as eyeshadows, of course, they give a subtle result, but it's fabulous. And I wouldn't mind having eyeshadows colors in this baked formula. That is what is missing, I think, from the brand. But yeah, that is what we have. And the point is, I don't care for their eyeshadow. I would rather spend my money on multiple ambient lighting palettes rather than the eyeshadows. That is my strategy, my purchasing strategy. So I will skip the Hourglass eyeshadows and steer my money towards maybe one or two palettes for the holidays. Another consideration that I would like to share with you, the way you use these powders. I use these powders in a sheer way, even the color blushes. And what happens is that, yeah, if you swatch these, they may seem different, but since the real usage is shear them out, or at least my real usage of these powders, the difference that it is obvious when you look at the pans becomes less obvious when you have the actual sheer wash of color, the actual usage of these powders. My point is, I don't really care about the new shades. What does really matter is the arrangement of the undertones. I would focus more on the undertones. I would say undertones of Hourglass powders tend to be on the warmer side. It's rare to find cool toned powders in this formula. The Hourglass powders, all of them tend to be quite warm, and all of them, once sheared out, tend to be all the same. The point that I would like to make here is that I stopped searching for new colors by Hourglass because they are all the same. If you have already one palette, you may have them all, especially if you are looking for cool tones, because you can go more orange than this, and Hourglass is a champion when it comes to providing orange tones. But when you want to go more neutral, cool, you take one, for example, this one from last year, that is the Evely's Eye palette that I customized in a different packaging, and you have them all. That's my main point. So if you find that what you have already from Hourglass is warmer than you expected, well, I wouldn't expect anything different this year. Another point that I would like to highlight in this video is the difference between the preview and reality. And we can see this by comparing the previews, those edited pictures, and the pictures that I found on Amit Beauty Talk Instagram page. The edited pictures look like unreal, look like rendering, right? They tend to be much more appealing than the previews, or at least for me, that I'm looking for muted tones, more sepia tones, less orange, and desaturation. And then I watch the pictures and it looks more towards what I already have. For example, the two blushes in the Dear palette, well, those two blushes to me, yeah, they won't differ too much from these ones. So I have two palettes on my wish list. First, I wanted them all. Now I realize that it's not needed to have them all. I still have in my wish list considering two palettes. One is the Dear one, that the more the time passes by and the more I realize it may be very similar to this one, the Heaven's Eye from last year. Let me see if I can get the shades. So we are start focusing on the single palette. Looks like there's this finishing powder, Dream Light. It will be like any other light powder. That one was already in last year lightest palette. was called Dragon palette. But it turned out to be warmer than it was described on the official website and quite unimpressive. I don't think it would be different from any, light tone powders that would be invisible on your skin. And then we have this Aura Light, that is another finishing powder. Yeah, it's a warmer, okay. And then we have Diffuse Bronze Light. Diffuse Bronze Light is something that I purchased as a single, and I have it here, but you can find it swatched in the video dedicated to this trio. It's peach. It's still too warm for me. I have it and I don't love it. There's the highlighter Iridescent Strobe Light. Maybe a new one, but is again on the peachy side. And then two blushes. One that is called Radiant Peach and other Vibrant Pink. Now, the peach, I'm pretty sure will be very similar to this, and the pink will be very similar to this. These two that looked so different in reality are quite similar. Guys, to be honest, now that I'm discussing with you about these shades, I'm more and more convinced that I can leave this dear palette, avoid purchasing it. The Horse palette, well, I think I will end up buying it. Why? Because it's muted. I'm so interested in that top right shade, the highlighter, because I see some lavender in it. Also, the famous Mood Exposure. I'm kind of miss it now because I decluttered it. I had it and decluttered it. Let's go to the single powders and discuss about them. The top left one is Soft Light. It is exactly this one and is also present in the trio. So I already have two iterations. I don't mind it. I'm not fond of it, to be honest. I don't care. I practically don't care about it. Then there's the blush Mood Exposure. As I said, I like it. I declutter it because it was not my favorite. I'm more into brighter blushes like these ones, but I wouldn't mind having it back in my collection. And then there's this highlighter that is new, that I know is new, and is Supernatural Strobe Light. Well, that I think it would be nice. If I buy one, to buy something new, fancy for the holidays, something high quality, because there's definitely quality behind this. And still being happy about my purchase, use it. Because it's true that these are the powders that I reach for. I'm considering decluttering this because I think that this trio does it all for me. I think that Horse palette with the highlighter, that's something that's missing here, would complete my arrangement, and I don't need much more. Let me also swatch this one. And as I said, I think I told you for sure in a previous video, I don't know if it was something related to this or a video about new releases, but I have my favorite Hourglass. This is cooler, you see. Is cooler than these other ones. But I have a couple of singles from Hourglass that I would like to buy. I like this more compared to these ones. To be honest, I truly love the arrangement here. These are my favorite colors, while here there's always compromise. These are a bit warm. This, sometimes I like it, this bronzer, sometimes it's too orange. This, I already have it here. These I never use, I don't care. So yeah, all in all, I wouldn't miss this palette if I let it go and get the Horse palette that is more muted, and it has the highlighter and the Mood Exposure blush that is definitely different compared to this usual bright pinks and peaches. Then on the bottom row of the Horse palette, there's Iridescent Coral, that to be honest is too warm for my liking. It would be something similar to this one that was called Oasis Glow. I think it would be similar, very similar to this one. I don't like it because it's too warm for my liking, on the orange side. And then we have the middle blush at the bottom row that is called Iridescent Rose, and this is a re-release, deeper and warm, but that warm base looks the same, because once you shear it out, you just notice the warmth on your skin. You don't really see the difference unless you build up the color. And then there's this glistening bronze light that looks quite orange, so I'm not interested in at all. I much prefer this that is already sometimes too orange. I used it on my eyes and I didn't like it. It was too orange. I much prefer the nude bronze light. It has a tad of warmth in this ambient lighting powder, but this powder, this darker powder in the melt here, is fantastic. I like this much more than this one. Then there's a Fox palette. Now, the Fox palette, I'll be honest, I'm intrigued. I'm interested in that middle blush. The rest, I wouldn't spend too much time on it because it looks warm. This would be nice for darker skin. Like the Tiger palette of years ago, I think at this point it's 3 years ago, I picked the Tiger palette as well, and yeah, it was too bronzy. I don't like that look because it looks like fake makeup on me, too overdone. It would be the case for the Fox palette as well, but I like the bottom blush in the central column. It's great. And finally, the Swan. Well, for the Swan one, again, there will be 2 blushes that will be very similar to these ones, and my experience is that these ended up to be the same. And then we have a more orangey blush. So like these 3, again, would be similar. And then the top row, there's the dim light, the infamous dim light at the top left, but I already have dim light, is in these 2 powders. So I have it already, and it's the best one in that palette, in my opinion. And then there's a yellow highlighter and another bronzer. I think I will end up buying the Horse palette. Let's see if I can resist the Deer. I know for sure that if I buy the Deer palette, it will be a regret. It would be like a repeat of this one. So yeah, it's true that with the Hourglass, if you have one, you have them all. They are more or less similar, with few exceptions. For example, here the Fox palette is something warmer and deeper. So Hourglass provides very similar palettes overall, and it lacks parts of the spectrum, like more cool tones, very light tones, very dark tones. So there are definitely vacancies in the overall spectrum that Hourglass would be able to cover, but for some reason they don't want to cover. Instead, there's one part of the spectrum that is very crowded of a lot of palettes from them. So the shade repetition, we talked already about that. Not only sometimes it looks like they are different, but they are the same. Other times they're truly repeating shades. For example, this one, the Soft Light, is being repeated every time now. Also Dim Light is very popular. This has been repeated now. So yeah, there are many repeats. So I think that what is left to tell you is to watch this video referring to last holiday collection, where I place the offering of Hourglass in a graph, and you can do the same for this year, but the consideration that you can find there are still valid. So see you in that video, and until next time, bye.